Hey people, hope you're doing well. I'm Hannah. I'm gonna make a video that I think is gonna be quite long. Just purely because I feel like all of these annoying, stupid things have been shoved in my face for a reason. And I obviously have some unique, I don't really think it should be unique though, understanding from my life experience that just helped me very easily dismiss all this bullshit as stupid, and just has made me realise that there's a lot of very stupid Muslims out there. So this is like a video to just address like a lot of very stupid things that people who identify themselves as Muslim and probably do like the day in day out Muslim things like on paper that you should be doing to say that you're Muslim. But I don't know where their understanding comes from. So I'm just gonna go through all these things, which has turned out to be actually like quite a lot of notes. So this is probably going to be a really long video. So get whatever it is that you need to settle in. I've got my ice latte. That the ice is melting now. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm just gonna put some Palo Santo on as cleansing, which is just like, that's one of the things. Which loads of cultures do. Loads of cultures cleanse because it's spiritual hygiene. Anyway, they might do it in different ways. Like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, I don't like using, well, it's like, it's not just the Middle East, but they use oud, or like in America Latina, they use Palo Santo. Loads of places use sage. So there's different ways. There's incense from the Himalayas. There's lots of ways people use things like incense to cleanse. And it's not woo-woo shit. It's literally, you have to go over and above if you want to maintain your spiritual hygiene. Yeah, so the first thing is Muslims who mock Sufis. So they mock Sufis as not real Muslims. And Sufis believe that they have just like a direct relationship with God. They don't really necessarily believe that you should have any sort of hierarchy or anything. You just co-create with God, and you are a conduit of the divine, and you work with God, and you have a very experiential life, which is what we should all be doing, really. You don't need to call yourself a Sufi for that. It's not woo-woo. There's actually scientific backing for it. And basically, it's actually living your life from your own experience. And to be experiential means that you have to be feeling, you have to be in tune. And to do that, you have to heal your trauma, get in touch with your somatic body. This is science. This is science. You have to shed all your layers of trauma, actually be able to feel. So get all your chakras aligned, have open chakras. If you don't have an open heart, how can you call yourself Muslim? It's fundamental to being a Muslim. How? You have to learn your emotions like a language, so you can assess what pain points are, so you can heal pain. I just don't know why you would mock that. Doesn't matter what you call it. I've been mocked like by Palestinians from Gaza, into Sophia, because it's more common. Is Sunni Islam is the most common in Palestine. I would never label myself as a Sophia. They just mock me as that. But I just don't know why you would mock it. To me, it's stupid. And if you ask me, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was a Sufi by the definitions, by the labels. He was a Sufi. Khadija, his wife, was a Sufi. So I don't know what. It's just like ridiculous. Ridiculous. Because Khadija, she was celibate, she was widowed. She met him when she was 40. And Prophet Muhammad, he used to go meditate like a monk in the caves. Which leads me to, yeah, so basically, I like, first of all, in the Quran, there's no sects. There's just literally, there's none. That they were all created afterwards. So to put those labels is actually very reductionist anyway. It doesn't, because the Quran doesn't do that. But there was leads me on to the next stupid thing by a Muslim. And some of these people, by the way, they've got like titles like doctor, like they've got PhDs, so they're not stupid people. Like, another one is it comes from like a superiority complex about Islam, which is to dismiss like other religions. So to dismiss Buddhism because Buddhism's not the truth, because monks abandoned their responsibilities, because Buddha went off and left all that he knew. Or like Guru Nanak, he went off and left all that he knew to walk with the divine, which is basically like what Sufis do. Like Sufis walk with the divine. They don't believe in like having imams and all of that stuff necessarily. I mean, it's not to say that they don't engage potentially in that kind of infrastructure that exists within Islam. I'm not saying, I don't know, each to their own, whatever suits them. But I think I get called Sufiya because I don't engage in that. But it's just because that's what you have to interact with. Sorry, but you have to always stay aligned. You have to stay aligned. And that's not against Islam. That is for it. That is Islam. That is Islam. And so basically all these prophets and religious figures like went on their own path and followed God's word and co-created with God for something like wider than themselves. And they all had struggles with faith, which everybody knows. I've said it before on this channel, that is what real jihad is. It's not this commercialized and PR campaigned version of jihad that's been grown and metastasized like cancer throughout global consciousness. That's nothing to do with real faith. All these people went on faith quests. All these people were jihadis. Like, that's just facts. But also, going back to this thing about monks abandon their responsibilities. No, they don't. They were going on their faith quest. That's not abandoning your responsibilities. That's following your path. That's following your purpose. So, and Islam talks about that. It says do that. It teaches you to do that. Like, and how can you dismiss that when obviously Prophet Muhammad was living monk life? Him and Khadija were living monk life, man. He was going to the mountains and the caves to meditate. That's what monks do. Don't even start with that bullshit. And like, this is just ridiculously stupid. It's beyond belief. And then like the other thing is that yeah, so he meditated in the mountains. And the other thing is about like not worshipping like deities and stuff like that, and gods and goddesses and angels and archangels and all of this. But Prophet Muhammad went to the mountains and then reached a vibration as such that it was equivalent resonance to the frequency of Archangel Gabriel, which is the archangel of communication. to enable him to download the Quran. So how can you say, I mean, it says don't worship deities. It doesn't say that they don't never existed, that all these things never existed. They're just historical figures. That's it. They're historical figures. They're not, you shouldn't worship things as God. You shouldn't worship archangels and angels and gods and goddess. You shouldn't worship them, no, but it's not to say that they didn't exist. The Quran never teaches you not to honour ancestry. Like Palestinians, we have pagan ancestry. We didn't just exist as a Muslim. Well, we have, Egypt has history going back to 5000 BC. That was even before ancient Egypt was coined as ancient Egypt. But we're only supposed to just focus on like very, very recent history, which is since the book was downloaded. So how can you not believe in angels if Archangel Gabriel was a facilitator, an angelic facilitator? Like, how can you not do? How can you say that you're Muslim and not believe in that? How can you not believe in supernatural things like that? Explain these doctors. What was I up to? Oh yeah, and there's things like you're going back to ancestry. Like, we didn't just exist as Muslims. Like, for example, like Bridget, who is like honoured in Ireland as a saint. She was pagan first, and then she converted to Christianity. And she's known for being a humanitarian and for poetry and for being like a divine feminine. But do you worship her as God? No, you don't worship her as God. You just honour, it's like honouring progression and how people can change their religion. Like, that's it. And there was lots of like travel between like Jerusalem and this part of the world. So people's religions and everything crisscrossed. Oh yeah, anyway, so going back to the channeling, yeah. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was just an instrument that God used to channel the Quran. That's it. Yeah. It does not mean that Islam did not exist before the existence of the book, because it did. So Muslims believe, I don't know if they just use it as like PR to just convert people, but don't actually understand what's behind it. I just think that's stupidity as well. But a lot of Muslims acknowledge that Prophet Adam and Isa, that they were Muslims, but don't make the connection that Islam therefore must have existed before the book was downloaded by Prophet Muhammad. That they must have lived that way of life, but it just wasn't called Islam. Like, let's see that. Oh, and also, there's lots of Muslims that don't believe in reincarnation. And it doesn't explicitly say in the Quran reincarnation exists, but there's loads of inferences, yeah? Not least for the fact that God is referred to as the Lord of all worlds. And oh yeah, and that basically, like, souls are infinite, yeah, and the fact that Prophet Muhammad was illiterate, and he managed to, and he downloaded the book, shows that souls exist, because language is not from the soul, it's of the mind. And Prophet Muhammad was illiterate. So it shows that the word of God, a soul existence is not of the mind or the body. It's beyond. You can't just limit it to one lifetime on earth. It's way beyond. And there's lots of places in the Quran where it's implied. I'm not a memorizer. I don't know where, but it's just basically you read everything from the eyes that you have, not necessarily from the truth. It's just from whatever level of ascension that you've reached in your life that you will see things. Yeah, but basically, like, Sufism is experiential living, which I've said before. And that's basically what Prophet Muhammad was doing. He was living from experience. And him and Khadija were like the odd ones out. And they were co-creating with the divine. And then, like, they were the only ones who knew about what happened to Prophet Muhammad, until other people then came on board and believed after he explained what happened. I feel like I want to go on, like, this is not the order in which I wrote it, but I want to go on here to say about how another stupid thing is, like, how can people say that Islam is not for women? Because Khadija was like a CEO of her own life. She was a merchant, and she like had like quite a lot of control of, like, she was doing a lot of the trade on the main trade routes in the region. And she was always getting shafted. She's always getting cheated. She was getting screwed over by all the men that thought they could control her. But she was still like the CEO merchant on the trade routes, and she had men employees. Like, Muhammad was one of her employees. So do you think that if the Quran didn't advocate for sovereignty for women, that she would have signed up as the first Muslim? Come on now, get real. And so all of these people that ridicule Sufism as woo-woo, right? Woo-woo. And just spirituality and haram and like, sorry, but you can't, one, if people are conduits for the divine, you can't throw it back in God's face, because God has chosen servants. It's in the Quran that the chosen servants exist, or anointed ones in the Bible. Yeah, you can't then throw that back in God's face and say, oh, I don't want it. Well, you can, but then suffer the consequences of doing that. It's less painful to accept it and work with it. And also, because you don't know what it's for. You don't necessarily know why you have it or anything. You don't know. So it's just better to accept that you don't know. Whereas all of these people think they know everything about everything, which is not Islam. It's just stupid. And they're the ones who these people are the ones who would have been ridiculing Prophet Muhammad and Khadija at the time. These would be the ones in the Matrix ridiculing them for figuring out the truth. And the Quran doesn't teach people to live in the Matrix, doesn't teach people to live enslaved. It's liberating. It teaches sovereignty and how to live a sovereign life. And it puts women at the centre. It puts women at the centre. Also, like, it's stupid. These people who, like, how can you want to claim credit, for example, yeah, that the first university was built by a Muslim woman in Morocco? Where do you think that she got the idea from? She was co-creating with the divine and downloading information of what to do. She was the first one that did it. She was a pioneer. She was a trailblazer. That's how she was doing it. There was no other prototype. But you're going to go, oh, she was woo-woo Sufi. Like, don't be ridiculous now. Literally, don't be ridiculous. These people probably walk into a mosque every week. Every week. And see all the calligraphy and all of the geometric art. Are they going to go around and then start dissing that and go woo-woo Sufi? Like, come on now. Like, the Quran is not contradictory. It's not contradictory. Like, it's there. Why is it there? It's to show that the message is supernatural, because all of that is supernatural. All of that artwork is supernatural. It's from the divine. It's not woo-woo Sufi. Don't be stupid. And also, like, there's a lot of Muslims that say, like, music and poetry and all of that is haram, but there's loads of Muslim poets, loads of Muslim musicians, like Arabic music is very, very different to, like, music, how music is constructed in the West. Like, it's made off the language, and the language is specifically chosen for the Quran. So how can you then shun the music? Don't be dumb there, man. Don't be ridiculous. Like, all of these people, they're just living out their purpose, which the Quran says that's what you should do. You should honor your gifts. Like, that's what you came here to do. It's your earthly purpose. Don't be stupid and mock these people for just listening and living out their purpose. Yeah, all these people are just triggered misogynists. They have a war. They don't know what understanding of Islam they have, but it's not real. It's not real. And they're bound. They have bindings that they need to release. They're in the matrix. They're not sovereign. I've already talked about him being illiterate. But yeah, basically, like, in the Quran as well, it gives examples. One is Isa and one is Idris or Enoch, yeah? I've talked about this before. Some of these things I've talked about in other videos, but separately. But this is just because all of this stupidity I felt like has been bothering me over the last week or so, that I want to put it all in one video. They are on a spiritual ascension journey. So, like, Idris or Enoch, yeah? Enoch is completely... The Christians try to put his story, like, under the carpet. I don't know why, but in the Quran, he's one of the prophets that's actually named, which shows his importance. And it's because he had a purpose, and his purpose was writing, and he was like a scribe, and he brought the writing to people. So he was like the first person to bring the right knowledge of writing from the divine, and then so civilizations could preserve knowledge and pass it on and create more knowledge, and that was his purpose. Are you going to call him woo-woo Sufi? Don't be ridiculous now. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be stupid. Isa was a late bloomer. So obviously he was born like a lot of the my people born since the genocide, in a tent, in a camp, you know. That's how he was born. He had lots of trauma. He was born traumatized and had to heal all his trauma. He was living as a carpenter and everything. Until then, his life changed, and I think it was like in his 30s when he started like becoming more of a healer. He's a healer. He got guided by God to heal and then become a healer for more people. Is that woo Sufi? It's just idiotic. It's idiotic. But yeah, so the delivery of the Quran via an illiterate is one major difference that's changed between like Christianity and Islam, to show that you don't need to be educated to do enlightened things or have enlightened thoughts or do enlightened acts or live an enlightened life, and that you don't need to have like a sick ass CV to have God's favor, because you can still be dumb. How dumb are those people? These are idiots. They've got doctor as the title, but they're spouting. They think it's gonna save them. Like, or there was lots. So I was born Muslim, yeah, but I still went on a quest so I was born Muslim, but where I grew up and where I live now in Manchester is very open place. Like, it's very multicultural. In school we learn about all faiths and all religions, and like the Quran says God is the Lord of all words because it accepts everything. Are you gonna then, if so, for example, yeah, if some people come to Islam via spirituality or woo spirituality or whatever, are you gonna knock that because that's the path they took? What if that was just that? You just don't know. God takes people on different journeys, and like at the end of the day, like the cards I read, I've got nothing to do with my gift. They just help to tell the story. Like when I first started writing poetry, like after I started meditating, like as a routine practice, I started using the cards to help me translate what I was feeling, because I didn't know. I'd not unlocked. But now I don't need them to do that. Now I can channel without them. But I don't believe in the cards. I believe in God. I don't believe in the cards. The cards are just a tool. They're just an artistic tool for communication. They're not what I believe in. Can you hear that fucking gang stalker terrorism outside? That's how, when all that stuff goes on, is when you know these fucking weirdos are doing the gang stalking. But yeah, please, like all these people that have paid a shit ton of money to go through a PhD or whatever, and they're still ignorant and judgmental. Like at the end of the day, it should be, because Islam teaches that you get a clean slate as well. You get, for whatever you've lived before, confirmation, you get a clean slate. So it doesn't really matter the path that someone took. If they found Islam, a lot of people discover Islam in prison after having done heinous crimes. Like, I mean, you shouldn't have to do that to find it, but it's not to discount the fact that there's people that do find it in that way. As a Muslim, should you be judging those people? No. Are you going to call those people who are just alone in the cells all the time as woo Sufi? Because they're co-created with the divide? Please. What was I up to? Oh yeah, the other thing is that so a lot of Muslims think that like jinns happen when you're not following the path of Islam. So you must be experiencing all these jinns because you're not on the right path. No. People who are chosen servants get attacked the most. We get attacked the most. Palestinians, for example, we live out the worst satanic shit at the hands of the Zion Nazis. Have you seen what they've done to us? They do the worst satanic rituals. They dig up the graves. They steal our organs. They eat them. They do all sorts of rituals. They study us. They study our DNA. They do everything. They curse our finances by trying to steal our land and put all of their fake trusts and fake deeds to tie themselves to our inheritance. All of this is jinns. All of this is curses. These idiots are like, jinns only happen to people. No, you need to be aware of jinns so you know when it's happening to you, so when you can protect you, and so you can call the bullshit out and say this is what it is. All of that stuff, that's Satanism, that's jinns. That's, if you really understand Islam, you will be standing up for your sovereignty and calling out that bullshit, because that is not Islam. All of that, allowing all of that stuff is not Islam. It's keeping people enslaved and living in terror. How is that Islam? You need to have awareness here. Like, you can't be just doing the bare minimum, turning up to mosques, praying 5 times a day and saying you've done your bit, or doing some charity from egotism because you want a pat on the back. That's not charity. Grow up. That's just living in addiction and reward cycles. So going back to like the existence of souls, yeah. The Quran is obviously in Arabic, yeah, and obviously nothing is by accident. So the Quran was obviously uniquely chosen as the language of the book, yeah. It's a very lyrical language. When people call do the call to prayer, so do that adhan, yeah. That is a soul song. It's from the soul. It comes from the soul. When people recite the Quran, it's from the soul. And there's other examples of it. I've said this before in other videos, like, wait, I don't know how long ago. When you hear people singing Sanskrit, it has a similar, it's from the soul. When you hear like, I don't know what it's called, like Gaelic mouth, recitation or music or whatever, like traditional rhythmic Gaelic, that's from the soul. That's that Haka, which is the Maori dance. All of that is call and response, and it's divine. It's the divine feminine. It's the divine feminine. It's honoring the woman, the feminine aspect of humanity. So then are you going to say music's haram? Are you going to say poetry's haram when the adhan in Islam is call and response? And call and response is a foundation of music in all cultures. That when you see African tribes or people in African villages dancing and singing in their native language, that's call and response. Like, I think just a lot of Muslims are just idiots and just want to tell people that they're wrong and that they know better and that they want to act with superiority with no foundation. It's just ignorance. Muslim prayer is literally call and response. Do not even play with me about that stupidity. Oh my God, my nose is on fire because I'm on the nose. I am on the nose, man. Like these people, they probably go to a mosque every week and they still see nothing. They just in habits. They're just in habits and addiction cycles. They're not living from any kind of awareness or any kind of higher consciousness or anything like that. And Islam doesn't say, Islam is supposed to help you to live beyond the material realm, beyond the matrix. It connects you to all beings and all things. It's universal consciousness. It's beggars belief, these people. It's like they take for granted what they were born into. But me being here, like, I don't call myself an Islamic scholar or anything. I'm not really a scholar in any religion. I live experientially. That's it. And I try to learn and understand and be open-minded. I don't just ask questions. I'm very inquisitive. So I didn't just take for granted that I was born into Islam. I've gone and explored and done, seen loads of things around the world and from here. And everything I experience confirms that Islam is the truth. It doesn't deny it. Confirmation. But the way that they speak is that it's like they're lucky that they were born in Islam and, that they knew the truth from all their life. And when it's just like, well, they're not really doing anything to actually test their faith, or they're not living any challenges, they're not living any trials, they're just speaking from their place of comfort. We're not learning anything. What good is that? It's no good whatsoever. It's stupid. And they just think that's enough of a position for them to have favor with God to get them into Jannah. Please. Because Islam teaches that you should honor your purpose and honor your gifts, and there's a lot of Muslims who shun other Muslims, and like I said, these would be the people who would be laughing at Prophet Muhammad and Khadijah. These are the very people, and they're the ones who don't embody all the things that Islam teaches. They just go through the motions, and they just have very distorted understanding. But just because you call yourself a Muslim or you're born into Islam doesn't mean that you are one. You need to accept that spirituality is a thing if you are Muslim. It's in the language. It's in Arabic. In Arabic, there's so many different ways to say soul. There's the level of the body, the level of the mind, and the level of the soul. And then even beyond that, which is at the level of God. So we have a soul, and then God is a bigger, an over us, above us. And so it's written in the language, the different, so level of the body, the dense, less dense, the level of the mind, even, lighter is the level of the soul, even higher than that, and one of the most common ways is nafs. Nafs means soul in Arabic, and breath is nefes. It's from the same construction, language construction. And ancient spirituality, from the East, Buddhism, they say the breath is presence, the breath is the I am, the breath is oneness, the breath is soul, the breath. That's their teaching. It's the same. And also, when Christians talk about body, mind, spirit, it's in the Arabic language. When you talk about soul, the word is expressed at the level of the body, expressed at the level of the mind, expressed at the level of the soul. But it's all in one. It's not like how theirs is more disconnected and from a separate position, I think. Whereas Islam is it comes from a unified stance, because it's all the same. It's all the same person. Yeah, but go ahead and mock Sufis, and Sufis are mocked, yeah, by these people, but they read the stories of all the Muslims gone before. So do you think all those Muslims didn't live experientially? I don't really know. I don't really get it. There's I don't know what it is. They just, it's obviously they just look at it from a superficial perspective, and they judge things by how they look. Like there's lots of Muslims that look Muslim, and so they get respected just because of how they look on the surface, but they don't actually delve deep, and they don't try to have any deeper understanding about anything. They just wear Muslim dress. Like in the Gulf countries, there's lots of people that have plastic surgery, yeah, and so there's loads of women who like have got like Islamic scholarly qualifications, and they wear Muslim dress and everything. But why is their faces caked in makeup? Why have they got plastic nails? Why have they got plastic surgery on their faces? Like everyone's built unique, because that's how we connect broadly. Like it links us to, you know, to higher realms. Why would you then change your astrological makeup? Like how can you be an Islamic scholar and do that stuff? There's obviously some insecurity there, and that's not an empowered woman just because they've sat some exams and become a Muslim scholar. How they're living their life experientially does not marry up with what their CV says. It's very weird those women are obviously victims of society. They're not empowered women, which is what Islam teaches. Do you think Khadija would have done that? Get out of here. Islam doesn't teach women to be victims of society. There's a whole book on women, yeah. And in the Quran, the only woman that's named is Maryam, Jesus' mum, Maryam. And do you think Maryam was a victim of society? Do you think she would have lived? She would have seen herself as a victim of society despite everything that she lived through? No. She's an example that not to be victim of circumstance, and to show that God creates miracles. That God is a miracle worker. So believe in miracles. These people just focus on the wrong things. I don't really know what to say about that. Yeah, and so there's lots of these like academic Muslim women who've got their faces caked up in makeup and dressed in Muslim dress, yeah. And they talk about, you know, all the connections with the planets and with astrology and all of that as something that is like historical. Like we can't be connected to the universe, like wider than just our existence here now, like in our existence now. But there's lots of science around like quantum theory and all of that, which is described in Islam. Like it's not something historical that you need to do academic research on now. Like it's something that Muslims only did in the past. No, we manifest and stuff now. Like we are connected much wider than just our physical existence here. We're not attached. We shouldn't be attached to the material realm. We are in the world, not of the world, which is like what people talk about Isa. But that's teachings of Islam as well. We shouldn't be of the world. To me, that's really, really stupid how you can just make it like an academic thing that you just look. No, every past, present and future is all connected. Confirmation. And that's just a very narrow and superficial and idiotic way to look at things. But those people get it's almost like they're worshipped and they're praised for relaying that information from whatever research that they found from their limited existence as the forefront. It's not the forefront. It's just that, I don't know, that's just that, I don't know, they might know someone who knows someone who managed to get them positioned to do that doctoral research. And that's as advanced as they're getting. Since when did Muslims not become dumb like that? We used to be really advanced. Anyway, yeah, that is just, yeah, I've talked about the language and nefes. Yeah, but like this is basically, I thought the video was going to be longer than this, but this is obviously just scratching the surface. This is, like I said, I'm not a, like, this could be someone's life work exploring all of this and writing this up. I'm not paid. I don't have funding to even do my poetry. I live with nothing because I'm doxed and everything like that. I just live a very simple life, channeling all this information, looking outside on what the fuck is going on. And then like, just want to show, actually, like, you know, you can't just say Islam is the right way, Islam is the truth, and completely disregard like how people might come to that conclusion, or keep reaffirming that truth, because you can't just be complacent. You have to keep reaffirming the truth, because you have to be open the fact that, like with science, it's the only thing. You can't say that you're Muslim and you don't agree with scientific principles. Scientific principles are that something's true until someone disproves it and discovers like a new discovery. So that's basically how you should see the Quran. You should see, if you should keep working like that until something happens and then it disproves that it's the truth. That's my perspective. And that is the real path of a jihad. That is the, keep questioning like that. That is it's not this bullshit that's just been plastered all over everyone's faces, so Chitral can do all their terrorism all over the world to maintain the illusion that they're the chosens. They're not the fucking chosens. They're the reprobates of all society. Anyway, that's what I want to say from all the stupidity that I'd noticed online from Muslims for the last week or so. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching if you watched this far. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, that's all. See you next time. Bye.